Okay. I'd like to call to order this council meeting today on Tuesday, October 28th, 2025. We have our opening, which will be conducted by Council Member Mark Hurd.
Thank you, Madam Chairwoman. So I'd like to just share a brief thought. It's a quote by Roger Lee. No particular context for why I chose to share it, other than I think it's just good general perspective to carry. So the quote is, "Life is full of surprises. When your day is wonderful, cherish it. When it becomes difficult, stay strong. There are no guarantees on how many days we have left, so be grateful for each and every one of them. Be strong when days are dark. Be brave when life gets tough. Be hopeful because anything can happen tomorrow." And to that, I would just add, and I think it's fortunate for us to be able to live in a country where we have the freedom of speech and the opportunity to express our will and intent. And also for us to be able to participate in local government, and for the privilege and honor it is for us as council members to serve and conduct the business of the people. And with that, I would also like to include a prayer. Our Father in heaven, we're grateful for the opportunity we have to gather for the Cache County Council meeting this evening and to conduct the business for the items on the agenda. And we pray for thy presence to be here with us in thought and in action, that we will have clarity to the things that we have contemplated and reviewed as the agenda items were presented and made available to us to prepare to understand. We're grateful for the service of those who make the business of the people of Cache County possible, and we're grateful for the opportunity we have to play a role in that. We pray for a blessing to be upon those in our community who are ill and afflicted and experiencing trying times, and that thy hand might be made visible in their lives, that they may know thy love for them. We're grateful, Father, for the opportunity we have to live here, and we're grateful for the abundance that thou hast blessed us with. And we say this in the name of thy Son, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Mark.
Also, yeah. Oh,
No flag.
oh, it's right there.
Got switched.
Flag's out of place, but if you wouldn't mind, please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. We'd like to acknowledge the absence of the council chair, Sandy Goodlander. She's not able to attend this evening. I would accept a motion to approve this evening's agenda.
So moved. I'll second that.
Any further discussion? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
It was unanimous. Continuing on, I will accept a motion to approve the minutes from the October 14th, 2025 meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Second that, yeah.
Okay, we'll accept Keegan's motion and this Mark seconded that. Any further discussion on that motion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
I will abstain. I was not here at the meeting, so we have all in favor except for my abstention. Okay, moving on to item number 5 on the agenda, we'll have the report from the county executive, Mr. Daines.
Short report. A number of things are ongoing. We're going to be discussing a couple of them in our executive session later today. Would report that the COG process has run very well again this year. Very pleased with how those turned out, and we have our set of priority, which will be coming to the council shortly. I have a item on the agenda, the tentative budget presentation, and I'll talk about that then. Thank you.
Thank you.
Also an appointment.
We do have an appointment it's for
In our packet.
in our packet from the executive.
Yes, I have made a motion to appoint Angie as our temporary Development Services Director,
Okay,
retroactive to February of 2025.
thank you, making that official. Thank you. Thank you very much. We now can vote on our consent for that appointment. We have a motion.
I would move that we support that.
Okay,
Second.
second by Keegan. Any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll go ahead and vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That was unanimous. Thank you. Next on our agenda, we go to item number 6, and we'll give the time to JD Gunnell as the Cache County Utah State University Extension Director to hear the end of year report. You've brought a big crowd. Thank you.
Not here for me, I don't think.
Oh, okay. It's exciting.
Make them wish they were here for you. So.
We'll do all we can. Did you guys
We
get one of
did,
these
yeah.
in the packet?
Yeah, we did. Thank you.
Every time you speak in church, they're all there.
That's just to see what I'll say. I just have a quick slideshow of 7 or 8 slides to kind of highlight to the council and to the audience of the impacts of Utah State University Extension and some of our return on investment, if you will, for the county support that we receive. For the benefit of those that are here that do not know much about USU Extension, our roots go clear back to Abraham Lincoln and the land grant university system that has made the United States such a beacon of growth in agriculture and science. We have over 100 years of experience and background here in the county specifically. So with that being said, I'll go through each of our program areas very quickly so you can get on to the agenda that you're here to hear about more than me. But first of all, I'm JD Gunnell. I am a horticulturist with Utah State University. We have 5 university faculty in our office. And if you guys wouldn't mind stand up as our Cache County team, just so people know that you're here, as well as the staff that actually do most of the work. So I get to be the mouthpiece tonight, but these people really do all the work. I, as part of my role with the university as a horticulturist, I am basically a consultant with the landscape industry, the nurseries, and homeowners to help them be successful in their growing endeavors. I teach the Master Gardener program. It's a 14-week course. We had over 50 professional students, homeowners that took the course this year, and they donated over 1,500 hours into community outreach. We have a community garden that we've developed in Logan and also another one in Nibley so that people can garden if they live in apartments or condos. So that's a really fun thing that I get to do is to play in the dirt. Next slide will highlight Justin Clausen is our agricultural agent. He works with farmers and ranchers. He brings a lot of technology to the forefront for agriculture. One of his highlights is he does a lot of drone activities with the growers. His drone is many thousands of dollars. It has a thermal camera on it, and one of the highlights this last fall is he was able to help 4 or 5 ranchers go and find their cattle in the mountains and use those technologies so the ranchers didn't have to. We're also, this year with the bird flu, our dairies have been struck really hard. So Justin's been working really hard and working with these biohazard signs and educating the farms on how to better have clean product. Next slide. We have a very full-staffed 4-H or youth development team. Elise Jensen, Courtney Fries, and Dylan Waldron is new to our office. They each take turns with livestock, horse programming, and then generic just youth development. We have over 70 chartered clubs in the valley. We have the largest dog program in the state. And you can see by numbers, these are some of our education nights and workshops that they train for the livestock. And we'll talk about the county fair that we help support and some of the youth that help do those things. One of the highlights with the horse program is they were able to have a service project where the 4-H youth were able to reach out to a special needs 501c3 and have 20 special needs individuals come up close with the kids. They were the educators and touch and be around horses and the benefits that those provide. Home and community, botulism is a real thing with canning and all the things that come with home preservation. Jenna Dykeman is a nutritionist on staff, and you can see the numbers. She teaches 67 nutrition, health, and wellness presentations this year. 13 of the, on top of that, of preservation and wellness workshops. She's also a specialist in diabetes, has written a publication that's available to the public, and has taught 8 diabetes workshops. She's also expanded her reach. We all work with volunteers, which we'll highlight at the end, but she had 6 volunteers that helped her teach a lot of these canning classes this year. And she also goes into the senior centers and helps work with that population. And in Hiram, one of the highlights is she offered a weekly fitness class to help with mobility of some of the more mature clientele that we offer help to. Tim Cady is in our office as well. He is a wealth of knowledge and experience. He's actually, we wanted to congratulate him in public today for receiving the Public Hero Award from the Health Department. He won't admit this out loud, but he has saved dozens of lives through his Narcan trainings and opioid work. He's also come in contact with the warming center at the St. John's Episcopal Church. He's helped be a crucial cog in that wheel. They double their numbers each year that they've been in practice. From November through March, they offer a safe, warm place for homeless or unhoused population to be in a safe location. The most wonderful thing, I've been in 3 different counties in Utah and worked through Extension for 20 years. But Cache County, even though it's my home, I'm a little biased, it is hands down the best county fair offered in the state. And it is because the county council has fully embraced that as a community outreach program. You can see some of our numbers. Our indoor exhibits, we had nearly 600 horticulture and floriculture exhibits, as well as nearly 1,000 4-H indoor exhibits. You can see for junior livestock, we had over $1.3 million in our junior livestock sale. Of that, 656 animals sold, which was amazing. These
Wait,
kids,
$3 million for just 656 animals?
yeah,
Lucky kids.
yes. They're very well supported in the community. And then you can see the rest of the numbers with the different exhibits, and it's one of the highlights of the year for Cache County and USU Extension. And then I just wanted to end with this return on investment. We receive funding from the county. Our faculty are paid through Utah State. We are professors, but we don't have to teach on campus. We teach the community. But because of that, the county offers us the $288,000 this last year, and that pays for our office space, our staff support, and some travel to get around the county. But with that, we're able to leverage those funds and go out and get grant dollars, donations to help with our community outreach. And you can see by numbers, we bring in a 7-to-1 ratio that helps our community be the best that it can be. That, along with university interns that we each get to help with our programs. So with that, I'm happily answer any questions or divert to the people that will actually know.
Thank you for all your work with the dog program. I have some relatives that work with that, and they love showing their dogs, and that is an excellent program, so thank you.
It is. Anything else? Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time. Thank you very much. Appreciate that.
Okay, the next item. Moving on with our. Moving on, we have the budget presentation by the executive. We'll give the time to the executive, and the auditor will be joining you.
Pardon me?
The auditor will be joining you for this?
Well, I think it's going to be pretty simple what we're going to do.
Okay,
Brittany, what we're handing out is a summary of the budget. All of these are Excel spreadsheets, and you will receive at the same time an electronic copy of that. The spreadsheets have to do with the general fund. This handout includes all the different funds and the different going back and forth. The Excel spreadsheets are given to you in Excel so that you can work with the spreadsheets, understand them, and adjust them, and so on. My suggestion to you is download them when they come electronically, and then work on your downloaded copy. Just to kind of give you an overview of what we're doing. The budget for this year is $70 million roughly. The budget in our general fund for next year is $65.5 million. So the budget we're giving you is a 7.5% reduction from this year's overall budget. While we've done that, we've also been able to give the employees of the general county a standard COLA increase of between 3% and 4%. We've also increased the compensation in the public safety area approximately 10% over the last year and a half. So while we're reducing the budget, we're also increasing and keeping up with the compensation of our employees and officers. As I present this budget to you, when you look at it closely, you'll see there's very little adjustment in the public safety arena. And frankly, that's going to take more study and more time to really get into that area of the budget, which represents about 50% of our budget. We made the decision to concentrate on the portion that was not public safety because we thought it would be easier to deal with that and then deal with public safety as we go on. And in submitting this budget to you, I would tell you that there's some areas that need further study. We are going to be working on the budget all year long to try and kind of a rolling process of getting all of the different areas thoroughly reviewed. We have not done that review in the public safety area. We've simply taken what the sheriff recommended and passed that through to you. And we would recommend that you approve the budget as presented. I would also indicate that we're looking at the maintenance and grounds area and whether we can consolidate some of those efforts into a single one rather than have different maintenance crews in different facilities. We're continuing to look at the senior center, but I have to tell you that I've looked at that. I'm more and more comfortable with our expenditures there. There is an issue there also of double taxation, which we're going to look at. But I don't really have any recommendation for changes in that area, and you'll see that in the budget. Do you have any questions? I realize it's just been presented to you. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to address those questions. But I would suggest you study it, and we'll be giving you more materials over the next 3 or 4 weeks. Thank you.
I do have a question, Mr. Daines. In getting the revenue, could you clarify what rate you used on the property tax?
I used the property tax that you had given us,
Okay,
which is set for the truth in taxation hearing.
in 2 weeks.
And
3
when
weeks.
that comes, we're going to be prepared to discuss that in more depth. I believe that's the 18th of November, isn't it? Mm-hmm. We've scheduled an open discussion beginning at 2 o'clock that day, and we're going to welcome the citizens. They've all received a letter from my office asking anyone who would like to know more about their property taxes to come at that point. I think we showed you a little bit of what we were going to propose to people that they look at. There's a lot of misunderstandings about property taxes, how they're computed and how they work. And we'll get into that in that hearing, Catherine.
So this $65 million revenue is based on that?
Yes, and,
Thank you.
and I probably ought to just say, we've got about $2.7, $2.8 million in reductions in this budget at present, if all of our recommendations were followed. That's really out of half of the budget, because the other half is public safety. And as I told you, we've not made any request for any reductions in fire or the sheriff's office. So essentially, out of the one side of the budget, we've been able to pull about 7 to 8, 9% out of that side of the budget. But you're going to have to look at those recommendations and decide which ones you want to accept. As a result of our work, we're still going to have to draw from our reserves to make this budget. But where we started with about 7 million, we're down now to $1,341,000. And I'm confident that as we go through the year, we will be able to reduce that further. Again, the council makes those decisions, and we're going to serve up recommendations to you, and you may take some of them, and others you may decide to discard. That's how the process is supposed to work. You are the decision maker. My office doesn't make the decisions. But we're going to serve up enough recommendations for you to discuss and to decide which ones you want to take. But I'm real happy to support the department heads who have gone through their budgets and cut them with virtually no exceptions. The department heads have joined in making these cuts. We haven't imposed the cuts on any department. The department heads have looked at it, worked with us, and I think these budgets represent their recommendations to you as well. And so great credit should go to them. I'd also like to give credit to Matt Funk and Amy, who have been with us as we've gone through each department. And I'm going to make some recommendations to you as time goes along about some ways we might set up a committee to interface with the budget periodically. I don't know that we want to deal with that. I think I'd like to get the budget done and then come back and make some recommendations as to the financial practices that we engage in as a county. But myself, Mr. Webb, Mr. Funk, and Ms. Amy has Adams.
Yeah, Amy
Trouble
Adams.
with names, anyway. There we go. The four of us have met with every department and gone through it with each of them, and I really am impressed with your department heads and their willingness to confront the financial situation and get it under control.
Thank you. Keegan?
Yeah, I had a few. So one of them was answered, the 1.3 on the fund balance. Question on that, what's the remaining balance? And that might be a question for Matt Funk. I think,
Brittany?
Reserve balance,
yeah, I think it was around 30 when we talked last? I don't remember the number.
23?
The general fund balance.
That number is right now about 22 million.
Yeah,
Okay.
it was 20.
Thank you. Another question is, in your letter that went out to, for the property tax notice, you mentioned 3 items. You addressed one of them here, which was the senior center. In your letter, you mentioned the county library. So how is that reflected in this budget? And you also mentioned,
At it, you'll see a 0 in that line.
okay. And then you also mentioned the potential staff reductions would be a component. Is that reflected in here as well?
There's some other areas, Keegan, that we're gonna be looking at very closely as well. We've identified a number of other areas that we're gonna be addressing. But some of those require us to spend some time and plan and find an alternative way of providing those services. And so some of that will occur over the next quarter or 2 quarters.
Last question, if we were to prove this as is, it's an 18% rate that you're using?
Well, there is a great misunderstanding about that. Let me just, want me to spend a minute or 2 and talk about that tonight?
Go ahead.
Okay. There are significant misunderstandings about property tax. It is incredibly complex. Both Matt and I come from relatively sophisticated private enterprises, and we look at the way property tax is computed and assessed and collected. And I have never seen anything as complex as that. And it is frequently misunderstood. One of the things that causes a misunderstanding is there is an overlay of requirements that you have to do things in a certain way. And it's almost a burden to try and explain how things actually operate as opposed to what you say. For example, last year, the council put forward a proposal that they would increase property taxes by 20%. Misunderstanding number 1, this body only has control of approximately 17% of the property taxes. So when you talk about an increase, it's only that portion of the property tax that this body controls. We collect for everybody, but we only have that portion. So that's one misunderstanding. The second misunderstanding has to do with what the percentage increase is. The percentage increase we are required to advertise makes the presumption that there are no new buildings that will occur and there is no reappraisals that will occur. When you factor those in, the property tax ends up being very different. So last year, not this year, but last year, it was 20% was advertised. So you're thinking my property taxes are going up 20%. No, what really they're saying is that 17% of your taxes are going up 20%. That's what it was. When they had the hearing, they reduced that from 20% to 12%. So it was only 12% of 7%. But when you got through with new properties and added appraisals, the increase was more like 4 to 5%. So that's actually what the increase was last year, but it started out being advertised at 20%. I need charts and a bunch of additional information to explain this, but the long and short of it is, most of the time we all misunderstand property tax. I confess that I have never thoroughly understood property taxes until the last month and a half when I've dug in them and tried to figure out how to explain them to you. We're going to do a good job of that in a couple of weeks on the 18th of November, 2 or 3 weeks, I guess. We're going to have some charts, we're going to have a bunch of people here to explain it, but we are planning on having an increase. We anticipate it will be like most years, where when you really get down to looking at what the property tax increase is, it's more around 4 or 5% of the 17% that the county receives.
Chair, could I add a couple comments to that since we're on the topic?
Yes.
So another thing to mention, I think, is that for most of us, our primary residence is taxed at 55% of the assessed value. So that's another factor. So if your home is worth about $450,000, your actual taxable value is closer to $250,000. So in addition to what Executive Dane says, if your house is worth $450,000, you might think, oh, a 10% tax, that means my taxes are going to be, $4,500. In actuality, it's 17% of that, and if they go up, it's 10% of that 17, like he said. And furthermore, I think the other misunderstanding that's worth clearing up is that it's not a linear increase. It's the way the mill levy works is we set the budget and then the taxes cover the percentage of increase of that. So it's not like if your equity goes up by $50,000, you're automatically taxed on that 50. In fact, you might not be taxed at all, which is what's happened over the last several years. So the actual percentage, if you weigh it, has been reduced. So, and this is maybe an opportunity for me to state my desires in the future on the council as a new council member is I think we should look at increasing it incrementally, yearly, 2, 3, 4%, in order to keep up with inflation and the COLA, to pay for wages, to pay for things that are, because it's sustainable and it's predictable, and then we don't find ourselves in a situation where we have to present a 20% tax that actually becomes a 12, that actually becomes a 4, and is super confusing. So
it is confusing, and it will continue to be confusing, and we're going to try and make an effort to explain it.
Do you have any other questions for the executive?
Just to confirm on this document that the numbers out to the side of the office listed, is that the reduction in headcount proposal? So
headcount-
this would be reduced?
No.
Okay.
That just,
Can you
there's
explain
two
that?
charts for the auditor, there's 2 charts for the clerk. That doesn't
Okay.
have anything to do with head counts.
Is there a number on the proposed headcount overall
It
in the
is
budget?
buried in the budget. In terms of, there's a budget for full-time employees and so on, it is within that.
Thank you.
One point,
Go ahead.
I'll mention that in some publications recently in the Valley, it mentioned that our tax increase would be 10, and now we're talking differently than that, so citizens need to be aware of what was reported before was incorrect. And we are talking a maximum of 18, but as we work with that, then we'll decide where we're at, so.
and just to give an example, if your house was worth $450,000, your taxable value would be $250,000. So your actual, if we did the full 18%, your tax would go up to $342.51, or it would increase by $52.25 if we did the full amount. So those are the dollar values you're talking. So when we talk about, and I'll bring up the library that I think the line item last year was $230,000 for the annual operating expenditure. $230,000 represents a percentage of $65,000 that represents a percentage of your property tax.
65 million.
To the tune of about, 65 million, sorry, to the tune of about $2 is what that line item would represent in your tax increase. So as we consider these, and as the citizens consider what they value as a service, I think it's important to put into context what the actual increase would be. So then you know what you're getting for your money. Because ultimately, me as a representative, I want to hear what people want and what they value as a service. If they don't value it, let's reduce the taxes. If they do value it and don't mind paying the taxes, let's include it. I don't have an agenda. I genuinely want to hear what people value. So.
So I'm gonna review the timeline that we have for the budget now, and those that know the statute can help me if I get anything wrong. I'm looking at Matt in the back of the room. So now we receive the budget from the executive. Now it's our budget. And we have weeks, months, 2 months approximately, hopefully not quite 2 months, but we have 2 months to digest the budget and to accept the recommendations or not that the executive has given us. Over that course of time, we will have a series of public hearings. So we are setting one tonight to have a discussion and input on the future of the Cache County Library, which is going to be, if we set that tonight, it will be held on November 4th. We have another hearing that is going to be set for the Truth in Taxation, which would be November 18th. And that is for the potential tax increase. After that, we have between November 18th and sometime before the end of the year, we have 2 meetings scheduled after the November 18th date to adopt the budget. And that's when we as a council take the budget and adopt it, given these guidelines or not. So that is our timeline that we follow to get the budget adopted by the end of the year.
What day is the workshop?
The workshop is set for November 18th, starting at 2 p.m. We're gonna have,
Before the Truth in Taxation hearing.
yeah, an open house style for people to come in and learn about the intentions. So, everything right? Thank you, Matt. Okay. Do you have any other questions for the executive while we're on this item?
I appreciate the format that you've sent it in. I like how everything's listed in general, and then you've got breakout sheets, which then correlate with every one of those, which really, it's a lot easier to follow. Very easy to follow, so we
Want
appreciate
to
that.
give Matt and Brittany credit for working on that and helping us get that form so that you can use it. It's interactive. If you change the budget in a department, it should kick it back onto that opening sheet.
The cover sheet
So you
here.
can see, and ultimately, if you kick anything back on, it'll show that we have to take more money out of reserve to cover it. As I said, it is based upon the revenue predicted on property taxes is received. So that is built into this budget. And there's a built-in estimate of what sales tax will be. So we've tried to make some predictions about those things. Obviously, we don't know exactly what our assessed value is until next May. We don't know how much sale tax is going to be collected. So there are those things. That's why we need a reserve account, and we need to keep it substantial. The other thing people need to recognize is the tax that you're talking about setting this fall is what you pay, not this year, but the following year. So that's one of the problems of budgeting is we're trying to forecast these things and budget forward, but we actually are paying taxes in arrears to our budget. That's why we need a substantial reserve account.
Okay. We will accept the budget from the executive by ordinance, right?
I don't think we have a set ordinance, but
Okay.
I would move that we accept the tentative budget presented by the county executive at this time.
Second.
Okay, thank you. And do we have any further discussion on this? Okay, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? That's unanimous. Thank you. Now it's ours. Thank you. Okay, moving on with our agenda this evening. We're going to set the public hearings. No, excuse me, we have we're setting public hearings. So moving on to agenda item 7A. We're going to set a public hearing for November 4th at 5:30. If anybody would like to make the following motions.
Madam Chair, I'd make a motion that we set the public hearings for ordinance 2025-40 Mountain Miners Springs rezone, and a discussion and input on the future of the Cache County Library for November 4th at 5:30 PM here at this building.
Second.
Okay, thank you, Mark, and second by Dave. Any other discussion on this?
I'll just say, to make it explicit for the people who might be here to comment on the library, what we're about to vote on is to set the public hearing for that, which is not tonight. That would be the date that was just suggested by Mark for the 4th. So I think after we vote on this, we should give maybe people the opportunity to be dismissed if they don't want to stick around for the
Yeah,
remainder.
thank you. There's-
Although I'd love to have everyone
Yeah,
around.
you're welcome to stay for our entire meeting. Thank you, Keegan, for pointing that. We cannot discuss an item without having it on our agenda. So we're publishing this for our following meeting, which we can then discuss this item for the following meeting. So thank you. We'll go ahead and vote on the motion on to set the public hearings aforementioned. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
It is unanimous. Okay, I'll accept a motion for item 7B.
I will make a motion that we reschedule the public hearing for November 4th at 5:30 PM for ordinance 2025-34, Cache County water use and preservation element.
Second.
Motion, second, okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Go ahead and take a second. Thank you. I know.
I don't know. Maybe so. I sent that.
You're bored.
Yeah, and hopefully you don't control everything every board you're on does.
Hopefully get it correct.
No
We have to
doubt.
submit a plan to the state. That's what Brandon Bell was working on for water. It's just something to the state that shows it, which is far different than what we're talking about on Thursday.
I won't be here on Thursday, by the way. Sorry.
Of course not.
Of course. Andrew said that. I have a pretty good record of attendance, so I'm allowed to miss every now and then. Especially when it's an extra meeting.
What was that?
Yeah, true.
Okay. Well, thank you. For those that, we'll go ahead and continue with our meetings. We do have some public hearings that we need to continue. Go ahead and start with our public hearing for ordinance 2025-35. This is the Honey Solar Stone Project LLC Code Amendment. I will go ahead and give the time to Angie to give some background on this. Thank you, Angie.
Yes. So yes, Angie Zetterquist, Interim Director. Thank you for the reappointment tonight. So this proposed ordinance was initiated by the applicant roughly 18 months ago is probably when we started conversations. And as you may recall, we had a workshop last July to kind of go over the topic of large-scale solar for the county, because there's currently not that use type in our county code. So the initial proposal by the applicant was to add a new use type for commercial solar and battery storage and allow it as a conditional use in the agricultural zone and rural residential zones. As you know, conditional uses are administrative and would have been approved as long as they met the requirements. So that ordinance proposal was presented to Planning Commission, and staff was given direction to work with the applicant to create a more robust ordinance. Since then, staff has been working with the applicant and Planning Commission to draft an ordinance that addresses different sizes of solar facilities with standards for each. So again, the initial proposal was just for one type of facility, but this ordinance amendment before you proposes 5 different types. So we have small-scale solar, community solar, commercial solar, battery storage, and concentrated solar. So I'll just quickly go through the different use types. Small-scale solar, as you can see here with the definition, is meant for 1 to 5 acre properties. Uses photovoltaic panels to generate electricity primarily for on-site use, some limited off-site use, or in a distributed generation program. One of the reasons for adopting this small-scale solar was to perhaps help farmers utilize areas on their land where the pivot was not being used, and so they could generate that electricity for their agricultural uses. So this one does require a conditional use permit in the agricultural A10 zone and the commercial and industrial zone. You can go to the next one. The next one, and we're kind of going from least intense to most intense, is community solar. It would be allowed on properties with 5 to 20 acres. And it would generate electricity primarily for off-site uses, including service to multiple customers, participation in net metering, or community solar programs. As with the one before, this would also require conditional use permit in the agricultural, commercial, or industrial zones. This one, again going up a level, is commercial solar. It would be on anything more than 20 acres. It was primarily would generate electricity for sale and for off-site use. This one requires a CUP only in the industrial zone would it be allowed. There was some discussion about allowing it with a public infrastructure overlay instead of industrial, but ultimately the Planning Commission felt like the public infrastructure overlay zone did not adequately address private utility infrastructure, and that these types of large-scale solar with their impacts and the long period of time that they're in operation would be more of an industrial use type. And so, excuse me, would only be allowed in the industrial zone with approval of a CUP. I had our GIS department do some quick calculations today. Currently, there's about 690 acres in industrial zoned properties in unincorporated county. 8 of which are over 20 acres. So, and those include Pepperidge Farm, the Cache Junction area where there's a large parcel that's never been developed, and then Edge Excavation along 10th West, and some of the JBS properties near Hiram. So, any future proposed facility would require a rezone, which is a legislative decision, and you would see that before they could advance with a conditional use permit. The one caveat, however, with requiring the industrial zone is that if a rezone were approved, it does open up that property to all uses in the industrial zone. So that would include manufacturing, commercial animals, shelters, storage and warehousing, sexually oriented businesses, crematoriums, and private airports. So when you are reviewing those rezone requests, you keep in mind that's not limited to just the solar or the purported intent of a solar farm, but it could allow for all these other uses as well with an approved conditional use permit. The next use type that was proposed is battery storage. So this is a facility with 1 or more electrochemical energy storage devices that would collect, store, and discharge electricity generated from the on-site solar energy system. So this cannot be a standalone use. It would have to be with small-scale solar, community solar, but it would probably primarily be associated with a commercial solar development. And that requires, again, a CUP in the industrial zone. The last use type that was proposed to add is called concentrated solar. That is a facility that uses mirrors, lenses, or similar technology to concentrate sunlight onto a small area to produce heat, which is then used to generate electricity for off-site distribution or sale. In addition to solar concentrators on this type of use, there would be thermal receivers, heat transfer systems, power generation equipment, such as steam turbines or heat engines. And this use was added just to provide clarity that it is a prohibited use and will not be allowed in any zone in the county. So as you can see there, kind of in the gray, hard to see, but it is an N across the board for, so it would not be allowed anywhere in the county. In addition to these types of uses, The ordinance amendment also includes definitions related to the new uses, as well as creating Chapter 1712 entitled Commercial Solar and Battery Storage, that creates development standards and regulations for commercial solar facilities and battery storage facilities. That includes, height regulations, setbacks, and regulations on visual appearance. In your packet, I just wanted to point out that 171230, the schedule of uses, has an old reference to the public infrastructure overlay zone, but that has been updated to reflect the industrial. In that chapter, there's also requirements for the submittal of a master plan with any application, as well as a requirement for a restoration plan and agreement, which would have a financial guarantee to restore the property once the facility was done operating. As mentioned, the Planning Commission's had this on their monthly agenda for most of the year, discussing it and tweaking it, getting it to a place they like. A public hearing was held on August 7th, and the Planning Commission recommended the County Council approve the ordinance in this form on their September 4th meeting with a vote of 5-1. If you have any questions, I'm here to answer the non-technical ones. The applicant is here to answer any maybe technical questions you have or provide additional feedback.
Angie, I have a question. The commercial has the minimum required is 20 acres. Is there a maximum size?
No, and the proposal that the applicant initially came forward to the county with, I believe was hundreds of acres, maybe 1,000 or more. So it's a very large scale. So. But there is no maximum that was created as part of this ordinance.
Do we have a statement from the nay vote from the Planning Commission on their reasoning?
As I recall, the nay was they just didn't think that this was the type of use that they wanted to see in the county.
All he was saying was, imagine 600, 1,000 acres of a solar place being in the valley. So
The
that,
aesthetic of that?
yes.
I did bring some pictures of examples.
So
the applicant
I hope
provided.
council members have looked at that, because that really does add some things inside the county that we haven't seen. And that's part of what the concern was, so. Because like you said, it can go to there's no maximum. It keeps going and going.
Yeah, I mean, do you guys feel like you have a good handle on this? Because I'm
Well, we're
just,
doing the public
I
hearing
know,
today.
I know.
So we just need
Yeah.
to open the public hearing.
okay, let's do that.
About it later.
Okay, so for the public hearing, we have basic instructions. Oh, yeah, for those that are going to participate, we just want to make sure that we have some guidelines. Please come and step up to the microphone when it's your turn, and you have to state your name and the city which you reside in. Please limit your comments to 2 minutes and keep your comments respectful. And please avoid repeating points that have already been made by previous speakers. So. Go ahead and open the public meeting for comment. So with those instructions, anybody who'd like to speak, please step.
Hi, my name's Cole Stalker. I'm with the company Enel Green Power that has put this forward. I just wanted to make myself available for any questions on your end. I think this document's really good that we've worked on. I think it really addresses a lot of the concerns we've gotten over the last 18 months or so. It gives the valley or the county a lot of flexibility moving forward. I don't think we'll be the last project, whether it be solar or battery, that comes in front of you guys. And so I think this gives you a lot of flexibility in the future on how to permit these projects and regulate them. I think it's really necessary to have, even if you don't want solar, it's gonna just keep coming. So this will continue to probably be an issue, I'm assuming. On the aesthetics, I think there's quite a bit of fear mongering in the news about the aesthetics of these things. I think there's some language in there that really gives the county some flexibility on how that looks. And maybe some sort of view guards on the sides and these kind of things, the overall aesthetics of the facility. So I don't think it's as scary as it sounds. And then there's obviously the restoration element. I see this as a form of land conservation. You know, instead of storage units or subdivisions, this is something that's going to be torn down in 40 years and go back to fields. And so not only do the farmers get to benefit from that on that land, and they're getting a stable income in from it instead of crops that are going up and down, but in the future, this thing will be torn down and restored to fields. And so I find that to be a benefit. From a distance, we do a glint glare study and things like this. From a distance, this looks like a body of water or a tilled field. It's not super bright and flamboyant. You're not going to see it from 10 miles out and be like, oh my gosh, the valley's ruined. And I think that's why we wanted to put in that the Mir facility would not be a use in this area. I know there was another concern about maybe the soil being ruined for farming and that we were going to essentially salt the earth, and that's not the case. We try to plant native vegetation and maintain it. We have an O&M building. There will be people there maintaining that, making sure there's no fire risk and those kind of things. So, yeah, at that, I'll take any questions you guys have otherwise.
Yeah, I have a couple. If someone wanted to see something similar, would the one out in Promontory be comparable?
I haven't been out to that one, so I don't know if that would be like an accurate representation of ours. Our company really works closely with the counties and the communities that we're in to make sure that it's a win-win situation, and that there's, especially with fire prevention, native vegetation, those kind of things, we try to make it look like it fits.
Okay. Next question is just the precedent for which zones are allowing this and the recommendations there. I imagine there's a precedent for that, and other counties or areas have used this. Is this modeled after something similar?
I think this is closer to what was desired here. I know we built this based on other counties in the state and how that looks. I've seen it a lot of different ways. But I think this is pretty standard for Utah.
Sorry, my last question is, and this is, I guess, for the council as much as it is for you. Do you have situations where the local entity requires that a certain amount of generated power be sold back to the local utility? Like, in other words, is there a chance that 100% of this could go out of state?
I don't think so, because we're going on PacifiCorp lines. I mean, we don't have like advanced discussions with any utility or anything on how to sell the power. We have discussed with Logan City about potentially working with them on that, and they've shown some interest. And so that is what we'd like to do, is keep it in the immediate area. And it is going on the PacifiCorp lines that are already running through the state. As for like requiring it to be sent back, I mean, I've never seen that before. And it might be kind of a slippery slope for other industries, that are coming in the valley, but I've never seen that before. So
I will just state, your point is valid of the 40 years, but if we rezone that to industrial, then we don't know what comes in 40 years as we've rezoned that to industrial. So I mentioned that to the council to be aware of that, because that does not have to stay agricultural. It can, and there's some of my fear. It really opens up what's down the road that we're not aware of. So,
I do have a question. You said that your company prides itself on staying true to the local aesthetic. Do you have any projects that you could refer us to look at that's reflected?
yeah, I think I've sent them to maybe the planning commission previously, and I can make sure it gets to you. There's a few examples, especially back in the Midwest and that direction, where they've worked with like beef farmers and sheep farmers and cattle grazing. Probably not cows. That would probably be a little bit dangerous, but sheep.
Sheep can graze underneath them?
Yes. Yep.
short sheep.
Short sheep. Make it shorter.
So there's quite a few examples of that. There could be some sort of community farming kind of thing. I've seen examples of all kinds on that out there. Our company has a few, and I can pass those along so you guys can see them.
Thank you.
I have a question. What initially brought you to Cache Valley to look at this?
Well, I'm from here, so that might have helped the company push it this direction. But the lines running through have capacity, PacifiCorp lines, and there's quite a bit of demand popping up in Utah for electricity, and it's just not being satiated quickly enough, and a lot of the power is not competitive from out of state. California is buying it up at really high prices, and so there's quite a big need for Utah to have its own generation, and I don't think we'd like to see more natural gas in the state and those kind of things, especially in the valley. And so I think that's what brought us this direction.
Okay, thank you.
Just an industry I didn't know would do well in Cache County. In your research, how many days can you generate electricity with solar here?
I would have to refer to our we call it Solar Center of Excellence, which is kind of a strange name. But they have engineers that look at these things. We already have a year of data on that. There's specifically designed panels for northern climates that are more efficient in areas like this. And so they run the numbers and they think it'll be pretty productive here already. So we have done the study on that.
Thanks.
Another question?
Measure it with the silicon cell
After the
pyrometer.
40 years, you say they'll be done. What's going to be keeping you from putting another round in for another 40 years?
This body of people.
Okay?
Yep.
And how are you disposing of them? You know, where do you, these panels, where are you going to dispose them, and how? And what kind of effect does it have on the environment?
Yeah, we are constantly updating that plan, and there will be one specific for this facility, and that will be like filed prior to construction, and there will be very specific on the details on that, the restoration process and where that stuff will go. The company's always looking at more and more ways to recycle the panels in different ways. I'm assuming 40 years from now will look a lot different than how we would do it now. But I definitely can send along some information on how we would do it today. I can talk to some of our O&M people if that's something that you guys would like to see.
Okay. Thank you for your time.
Thanks.
We'll continue with the public hearing for anybody else that has comment.
Move to close the public hearing.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Item 2 is the ordinance 2025-37, compensation of Cache County executive appointed and deputy officials. So, and Amy, are you prepared to speak to that? No? Oh, okay.
Unless you have questions.
So this is, in the packet, if you'll see, this is just for those that are appointed or, what's the other word I'm looking for? Appointed. So these are not any elected officials, these are just our appointed, so they'd be like the deputy, and department heads within the county. So, go ahead and open the public hearing for this, ordinance as well, with the same instructions.
Move to close the public hearing.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. It's unanimous? Okay. Thank you. Ordinance 2025-38, the auditor fee schedule adjustments. And Mr. Funk.
In your packets, you have the proposed updated fee schedules for Cache County's unincorporated areas. Cache County government contracts with Waste Management, and we bill the users in the unincorporated areas of the county for their garbage pickup. Waste Management has recently increased their price or their cost to Cache County. And in reviewing this, we discovered that they increased their cost last year as well, and we didn't pick that up. So this fee schedule adjustment is an effort to merely bring our fees back into line with where they were historically in terms of the passing on the cost of our cost to the end user.
So basically, this will have to come before the council every year because there is a CPI increase embedded in the contract of Waste Management. So
Yes.
Looking,
GB.
And possibly more than once per year could
Right.
happen.
I'm sorry, what was your question?
GB.
Yeah.
Pickup.
is that green bin or
Green
something? Or what
bin,
is it?
green or garbage? Green bin?
I don't have it in front of me, I apologize.
GB, 1 pickup / a week, res 64 gallon, 1878
Yeah, that would be garbage.
garbage
Agreed.
Garbage in size.
on the size.
I noticed most of them are around 10% increase. Is that- yeah.
That's correct. And again, we're just passing on our cost exactly. One other thing I noticed after I submitted this to the council, it came to my attention that we don't charge a return check fee, and we get a couple of those occasionally, and we probably need to update our fee schedule to address that issue. So
Yeah, we have a late fee, but we don't have a return.
not have a return check.
Can they
Yeah,
pay
we
by
could-
credit card?
Yes.
And is there a charge associated with a credit card charge like others do?
Yes, we pass on that cost,
3% or whatever?
whatever the merchant cost is.
Okay.
Thanks for discovering it.
Okay, any questions for Matt?
Just to confirm, all the other fees remained as they were last year.
All of the other fees remain the same. We are only changing the garbage fees. We did find that there was one service that we had on our fee schedule that Waste Management no longer offers. I forget exactly which one it was. We removed that from our schedule. There are no other changes.
Thank
The
you.
titling changed from clerk to auditor's office on these as well.
And I think I changed it. Did we get that changed to 64? It used to say 60 gallon bins. It's actually 64. So we updated that, and we updated it from 90 gallons to 96 in an effort to be more precise.
How many liters is that?
You got me.
Okay. Any other questions? Thanks, Matt. Appreciate it. Okay. Any comments?
Is this a,
Auditor fee
is
schedule.
this a public hearing
This is
too?
a public hearing. Yeah, we're opening the public hearing for the auditor fee schedule adjustments.
Move to close the public hearing.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Now we'll move to the county attorney's office fee schedule adjustments. Taylor.
Good evening. This is, just one more piece of that effort of the county to pass on user costs to the end user. For many years, the county attorney's office has been providing discovery and materials to people, and not been charging for that. The county has been eating the cost for that. Going forward, we'd like to pass those costs to the end user. I will note, however, that for our indigent defendants, these fees are not applicable to them. So those who have the ability to pay are the only ones who are going to be paying these fees. Further, if there are cases where if someone doesn't want to pay for a portable hard drive from the county, they can bring their own, but it has to be sealed in the package for cybersecurity reasons. So we make exceptions. If you can find a better deal on a terabyte drive, they can bring it, and then we'll just load it onto the drive for them. But again, this is just trying to pass on those costs to the end user, because going through our budget, we're trying to save money and gather revenue as best we can. $25 today doesn't do very much, but it does take that much burden off the taxpayer, which, it's interesting that a discovery fee of $25, doing this thought experiment where you compare how many dollars each department costs each citizen, I've determined that for every citizen of Cache County, the entire county attorney's office costs $24.80 per person per year. So it's about $2 a month to keep bad guys behind bars, to keep the county honest, to keep the county out of litigation when possible. And I have also found that the county attorney's office per capita is less expensive and more efficient than every other county of the third class, including Weber County, which is a county of the second class. So we have a very efficient county, and I'm sure that those numbers probably translate across many of the departments. We have an efficient government We use our tax dollars wisely, and this is an effort to gather more revenue to continue to do that efficiently.
Thank you. You've X'd out criminal case discharge. Is that no longer a fee that's assessed?
Yes, that's correct.
What is that?
When you have a case with us and it gets discharged, there are cases, for example, where someone may get a misdemeanor and then a certain period of time will pass and they can get that expunged off their record or things like that. We no longer assess fees for that.
How is it determined if someone can't afford this? Is it an income?
That's determined by the district court, and that's determined based on their income.
Okay.
So we don't make that determination. That's made by our district court judges.
Thanks.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. Go ahead and open the public hearing for the county attorney's office fee schedule adjustments. Don't all run at once.
Move to close the public hearing. Second.
And second. Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Item 8 on our agenda. We will now discuss ordinance 2025-35, the Honey Solar Stone Project LLC Code Amendment.
I'd like to make a motion, we move this down the line so that all of us become better informed and we get some pictures as what you requested from some of their
From the
projects.
proponent, yeah.
I mean, this was discussed heavily in planning and zoning. Property rights were discussed. Farmers who aren't making it can do that, and it's a property right. But at the same time, the volume of what, and energy is gonna be a big thing in the future as well. It still is, so
Yeah.
we need to look at that, but
Was there any discussion on limiting the size of acreage per project?
becomes very hard. That's like limiting the size of a farm.
Yeah, but this is something that, yeah.
I agree. That's why I'm saying we need to really think this out, because the discussion was to put it over in Cass Junction area. If you're sitting in Logan and you wake up one morning early and you see a bright light over there, depending on 600, 1,000 acres or whatever goes there, that's
Significant.
significant. So that's why I'm saying we need to get some comparisons, and is my thought. So I'm just thinking that way.
Continue this item.
Yes.
I agree to continue.
Yeah.
I don't think it requires a motion though, does it?
No, we can just,
It's initial.
it's initials, we can
Okay.
just.
Initial,
Yeah,
and
I think,
I think we're all in agreement. We want more time on this.
also, this is getting the conditional use permit is a legislative action, so it could have a limit on it at that point, right?
I do have one question. Go ahead, finish
No,
your
I
sentence.
was just saying.
I do
we
have
could
one
limit the
question.
size.
This will be for Angie. Why is it called the Honey Solar Stone Project LLC Code Amendment?
That was the name they gave it on their application when they submitted it.
So their application,
Yeah, the applicant,
so they actually push the direction as to how this ordinance is to be written.
So it was initiated by their application because they wanted to pursue a project in the valley. But from what Planning Commission and the applicant and staff have worked on and presented to you today is very different than the initial application.
I guess with the name on it, kind of, it tells me that it is driven, that ordinance is driven by one group.
And in a sense, it was because they're the ones who initiated it by filing that
And,
application.
you know, that just, to me, that's just a little bit wrong.
Yeah,
I
I would,
understand the process, but I understand it ought to just be very solar, you know, something solar.
I'd like to rename it too.
You know, however, just because if we start doing something specific for every entity that comes along, and that's how we legislate, that really worries me.
Yeah, and as the proponent stated, like, there's probably gonna be other solar projects that come before us, and we should develop county code that reflects what type of developments we want on what property that should have universal application.
And it's nothing against Honey Solar.
Yeah.
But it's just, I guess the perception and how it's done, and I hope it hasn't been whatever you want, we'll put into an ordinance. That worries me. So, thanks, Angie.
So, Angie, just to clarify, maybe, make sure I'm correct, but also clarify for those present. The ordinance is presented to, or this is presented to us in this way because we don't currently have a code in Cache County
Right.
for a solar farm. And so the way this is presented it was crafted in a way for us to more or less develop that code along the way instead of two things. One, flat out no, because based on personal desire, but no code to back it. Or second, no conditions, therefore it could be built without input from the county. And so, I agree, I think we would like to look at it titled differently, but regardless of what we do with this particular item, we should develop a solar farm code, and this is a great place to start from. So, as long as I'm understanding that correctly, and that's why this looks like a code in a application to apply to the code, it's because the code was written alongside, which is
Does it mirror any other counties, their attempts for the code?
Yeah, so they did look at a few different jurisdictions. I thought I wrote it down somewhere, but yeah, and then there's also the American Planning Association has a guidebook on establishing solar ordinances, so that was part of, informed part of this as well. But back to your point, because it's not in the code, we actually have a section of code that says if it's not in here, it's prohibited. So they wouldn't just be able to go out and out regulation. But it is best practice to have something in there so that we have something that we can refer to. And our utility facility codes, as Matt Phillips would probably tell you, they're very kind of explicit and not general. And so, you know, it talks about, for some projects, the diameter of a pipe, you know, so a project could either meet that or not meet that. And so it's just, again, best practice to add this so we have something to say yes or no to. So.
Did this go through O&P?
No, typically our land use stuff just goes through Planning Commission, not OMP.
Oh, okay, so, gotcha. So, going back to limiting the size, I guess that's something we could do with the CUP then.
Well, what will happen, again, is they'll have to, for these larger facilities over 20 acres, they'd have to get a rezone. And so that's your legislative
Yeah,
component
that's a
where you would decide
legislative, that's
if
where
not.
you could potentially limit the size.
I think-
If the planning commission.
Yeah,
put
actually, I
that
think
condition
this
on
process, doing the ordinance and establishing it, is probably the best place to
Yeah.
limit.
I don't know if I like leaving it open-ended at 20 acres.
I don't like that.
Yeah.
Well, that was part of the discussion. If you look at some of these solar projects elsewhere, humongous.
I mean, we don't have that much available. Angie did point out that there's not that many parcels in the unincorporated, but
Well, there could be.
there could be.
I think to your point, if it's zoned industrial, that opens a
You've
lot of
lost it.
possibilities.
Yep, lost.
That's the part I would like to address, is what happens at the end of this. If it's rezoned, we've got to have some sort of condition in place as to what is permitted post this, or,
becomes
which
very-
means basically we need to create another zone.
that though?
Well-
once it's rezoned, it's rezoned.
Right, so then the question, that's why I'm saying another zone, meaning we would have to have a zone specific for
solar
solar zones that sunsets with the project.
proposal in their project.
That was briefly brought up to have a solar overlay, but wasn't pursued. So.
I remember another ordinance that we attempted years ago that was to basically help. It was to help farmers and help, you know, we start talking about, well, out on the corners of these pivots, you know, we'd like to maybe do these cluster homes and do a whole bunch like in one little area and everything. And then we started, I don't know, to me, I think that was just opened up a hornet's nest that we have a hard time dealing with in all this little clustering and setting up these RU5s, RU2, you know, other little areas within the county, and it just, I don't know. I just worry about, again, accommodating certain areas, say, oh, we can put solars in those little corners and do those kind of things. You don't know the ramifications of what's behind all that down the road and how that'll change.
Well, and the big issue comes that if you go a big size, that usually starts with an agricultural farm that is next to another agricultural farm. So then we throw an industrial zone in a farm area that really tweaks what we've tried to do inside of the unincorporated part of the county. So all of these are valid issues. That's why I think we need to
Continue.
let
Right.
this one sit for a while and we think about it.
You don't want to create an unintended consequence where someone is building a solar farm to launder the land, essentially to turn it into their ultimate goal.
Something different, yeah.
I didn't think of it that way. Okay,
Okay,
so,
oh, sorry, last comment I have is on this is I'm feeling bad no one laughed at my sunset joke when we're talking about solar farms.
Oh, that went over my head.
Sorry, Dave.
okay.
I was looking at the sunset when you said it.
Ordinance 2025-37, compensation of the Cache County Executive appointed deputies. So this is in the packet. It outlines the pay that will be for the appointed and department heads.
So,
Do we have any questions for?
Well,
yes.
included on there is still, the council member and council chair, which we are separated out, right?
And we can separate that out in the motion.
I wrote part of this with Jairus, and if you look at the text in section 1, it says this part of code shall be changed to reflect only as it relates to non-elected officials. So if it was passed in its current form, it would not set the council member or the chair pay.
That's where agenda 9, item 9 comes in.
Yeah.
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 My question was, if I'm understanding this correctly, for example, the chief deputy executive range goes higher than what the executive salary is. And I think the attorney maybe was the same way. Is that was noticed and deliberate?
Yes,
still? Okay.
that's
Okay.
possible.
Okay.
That's what our market values are looking like, and so generally, but the high end of that range is generally when someone's towards the end of their career. So this is reflecting the pay range of the full career life of the employee.
And that's the prerogative of their, for lack of better words, manager to determine that.
So there's a lot.
They can choose within that range. For example, like executive Danes, there's criteria though, like
There is
tenure
criteria.
and-
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. But if someone is within that criteria, then it would be up to, for example, the executive to set the deputy compensation.
This also incorporates a merit type of increase, so pay for performance. So each of us that are appointed and are on that list will be given a performance evaluation, and then the merit matrix will be applied to that to determine what that increase would be. Since performance evaluations aren't done until or due to my office until the middle of December, we don't have an exact amount of what that would be. So that is the pay range that you are looking at. If there's anyone specific that you are wondering about, I'd be happy to talk to you about that in my office. I just don't have that information
Sure.
on hand.
Use like a 1 to 4 rubric or something when you do evaluations, yeah.
But one amiss to that, it's not an amiss, if you're hiring somebody and they're coming to us with a lot of experience, such as the chief deputy executive, and there sits that range, and if you're trying to compete for them, the hiring committee could go to the upper end of that range.
That's actually not true. We have a policy that is in our personnel policy and procedures manual that only allows us to hire up to 95%. So basically almost the midpoint of that range. So that would be the highest that we would be able to bring someone in at.
Okay. And these were in your budget, right, sir?
Pardon me?
These were in your budget, right?
using these ranges?
Ranges.
That is correct.
Matt?
Yes, they were.
May I weigh in on deputies and compensation?
Yes.
I would urge you to make the range larger on the lower side.
Delve into that a little bit deeper, will you?
Pardon me?
Delve into
Will you-
that a little
yeah,
deeper,
please.
will you?
I think that we ought to have the ability to hire deputies at a lower rate. I understand the reason to have a higher limitation, but I don't see the reason to have a lower limitation on deputies.
Can I comment on that?
Yeah, please.
So as we do our market surveys, these are the ranges that are coming out of the market surveys. Now, as we've discussed in prior meetings, the deputies or an elected official could choose to not take that full amount. And with that, then we do have a process for them to consider that as well.
Again, I feel like I need to ask permission to comment. I don't know whether that's your practice, that I need to get permission to comment or not, but
Leave that up to
Yes.
Catherine.
Yeah.
Yes.
Prerogative of the chair.
is that correct?
Yes, and yes, you may
All right.
comment.
So do I push a button or
Yeah,
raise
just,
my hand? or what
Madam,
do you
just
want me
say Madam Chair.
Yeah,
Buzz in.
Madam
just
Chair.
request permission from the chair.
I've got some Tootsie Rolls here you can throw if you wanted something, so.
May I respond?
Yes.
I think that you kind of have a mindset that the people that will fill these positions and who they are. But the truth is there's a large proportion of the community that want to serve in government and is not seeking it for compensation reasons. And I think to constantly have the problem of trying to say, well, that person has to be in that range or they're not qualified is a misnomer in terms of public service. I think many people are willing to work in public service for a lower range. And I don't know why you would object to that. If you want to hire the person and the person wants to work for less, why wouldn't you accept that? I mean, what basis would there be to insist that they have to be paid this much? I don't see a reason for that.
I think that there's two people in this room that applies to. I think that, again, we're trying to attract professional individuals, and in order to attract professional individuals, this is a range in which they would expect to be paid, and that we would expect to, in order to attract them. Again, we're removing personalities. This is, if you're expecting somebody to be an assistant CEO or assistant, then they're gonna be in that range of an organization of nearly 400 employees and a budget of 70 million. So I don't think that range is off.
That's assistant to the regional manager.
Assistant to
Yeah.
the
But I'll comment on that, because I was looking at the surveyor position, for example, and I happen to think it's a little bit low, right? So I think there are times potentially, to answer the executive's question, where the hiring manager has control, I guess, to set what that minimum would be. And if it's too low, we might not get the caliber of candidate we want, or we might not fill the position. And there's not really a mechanism to increase what that minimum is. So I think there should be a range. And I will also echo Amy's sentiments that someone could choose to not take the surplus. To use a very real example, I think you said the executive should be at 125, I think was the number you threw out. You would have the opportunity to lead by example January 1st with a form from Amy if you did want to do that, and I think other people could do that and still have that option. It doesn't take that away. I did have a question about positions these are all full-time and they couldn't convert to part-time.
Correct. They're full-time positions, and that would be their full-time salary.
So that wouldn't affect the minimum. For example, if Executive Dane says, you know, I just want a part-time deputy, and this minimum doesn't justify that, now I'm locked into a range where I can't do this minimum.
That would be considered maybe a different position because this is advertised as a full-time
Okay.
position.
Thanks.
I mean, I understand the sentiment, but also I don't think that for the positions that are listed, that those ranges are, I don't think they're out of whack with the market.
You know, I think they are way out of whack compared to 20 years ago. You know, seriously.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, look at what's changed.
It is amazingly how things have changed. And to get, you know, to get there is a huge competition out there for
Talent.
For talent. And to get the people that are going to be governed or help in governing and over taxpayer dollars. And it is just crazy how high that they have gone. So, and we have to value that accordingly. If you don't want other concerns to pop up with lack of professionalism. So,
I'm probably not ready to vote on this tonight, but I'd like to look into it a little more.
We can continue this, that's fine. Anyone want to make a motion or continue?
I'm fine with continue.
Continue. Okay, moving on to ordinance 2025-38, the auditor fee schedule adjustments. This was the garbage
Garbage fee increase.
fee increase.
actually, I would move to continue this one too, because we do have a new contract that was being negotiated by the executive board with Waste Management that may extend it to a 5-year contract. And so that needs to be looked at. So you should have got a copy of that. The attorney's office is supposed
But
to
I
be sent a
think
copy.
these were just the true costs that we're getting billed at.
Right now, yes, but we're gonna, you can, basically, it might even change in a couple of weeks type of deal.
Oh, is it that imminent?
That eminent, then yeah, maybe we wait, but.
The one thing I would point out is as we delay on this, every month we delay, we're costing thousands of dollars.
Of our money.
Our money.
I guess we can go ahead with it if you want, but then
I
there
know
might
we'll
be
have
something like
Yes.
real soon.
I wouldn't mind looking at it again in,
I'm fine
December if we have.
passing on the true cost to the end
Yes.
consumer now and then revisiting it once we
Okay.
have new
make
information.
sure.
Yeah, agreed.
I agree with
That
you.
is
There's no
coming.
sense in our general fund
Yeah.
subsidizing, well, I guess it's municipal fund,
And-
subsidizing for the users right now, so.
And as Matt said, this wasn't done last year, so we need to bring it up to date.
Right. Yeah, it's urgent, I think.
Just
So
be prepared for another one.
Yeah.
could I make a motion then to suspend the rules and pass ordinance 2025-38, auditor fee schedule adjustment?
I'll
Second.
second.
Second by Barbara. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
It is unanimous. Thank you. Moving on to resolution, ordinance.
That was initial, did we?
He suspended the
Yeah, he's
rules.
suspended.
Sorry about that.
Ordinance 2025-39, the county attorney's office fee schedule adjustments.
I would,
This
I feel the
seems
same
pretty
way.
straightforward on this one.
I'd move to suspend the rules on the 2025-39 and pass that accordingly.
Second.
Okay, any further discussion?
I would like to say that this essentially delineation of different parts of the discovery fee charging, that's pretty standard practice. I saw it in previous jobs, so I would definitely recommend that this be passed.
Okay, thank you for your input. Okay, we'll go ahead and vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
It's unanimous. Okay, moving on to resolution 2025-40. This is providing consent to allow Wellsville City to annex a portion of unincorporated county land, thereby creating an unincorporated peninsula within the county. Thank you, Angie.
Yes. Yes, Angie Zetterquist. So this is an annexation request. Andrew's bringing up the presentation. Near Wellsville, it's located west of Wellsville and then south and west of the elementary.
A picture?
Yeah, he's bringing it
perfect.
up 1 second. Yeah, it's a 45.76 acre piece that does have a separate parcel owned by the Wellsville-Menden Conservation District that cuts through it. If you want to go through the next slide. So this is the vicinity map. You see the property is in the blue. The dark black outline is the current Wellsville city boundary. And then the next slide gives you a more detailed image of the subject property that is requesting annexation. Again, you can see that it's parcel 001 ending, and it has two parts to it because that Wellsville Canal parcel goes through it. But those are the two parts that are being annexed. It will create an unincorporated unincorporated peninsula with those three parcels below it. The Wellsville city boundary is immediately on the south side of those three. So that's the peninsula that will be created. So state law does require that, again, there's pointing to that. And you can see the green is also the Wellsville city boundary that's being represented. So those three parcels will remain in unincorporated county. And then, again, state law requires that if an annexation is going to create an unincorporated island or peninsula, that the county council has to weigh in. Just one other item of note, that very not straight green squiggly represents the county road, which is being fully annexed as part of this as well.
Okay, 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, toward the part of the property that's on the east side, after you can see where the green line ends, that is already a Wellsville City Road. So just the green portion along the frontage of this property, that's the county road, will also be.
So does it continue farther west?
It does, yeah.
So will continue in.
That will continue for county maintenance, yeah, because that's still unincorporated county to the west at this point. So, yeah, this will represent the furthest west of the new Wellsville boundary if the annexation is approved. So again, the possible actions are to agree to allow the annexation and create an unincorporated peninsula, or disagree and protest. Wellsville City is represented here along with the applicant. They have submitted written comment that they believe that this meets all of their annexation requirements for the city, and so they are in support of the annexation. But again, because it's creating that unincorporated peninsula, we need to bring it to you to review. That's all I have.
Angie, question, have you heard from any of those, well, I don't know if they're all three or different, but to the south of them, those other property owners who are gonna stay in the county, have they commented?
No, I don't believe they were approached, and we don't require noticing. Well, yeah, we don't require noticing for annexation. So. The clerk's office does do a noticing to affected entities, but not to adjacent property owners. Oh, you do?
That's what I thought. Yeah. So, but we haven't heard from any of them.
Your area, right? This is your
Yeah,
turf.
I'm interested in hearing from the applicant and Wellsville City, if we can.
I want to hear from Wellsville City.
Is there a Bailey here?
Is there what?
Is there a Bailey here? I don't know.
Yes, there is, Mayor Bailey.
Mayor Bailey.
So Scott Wells, Wellsville City Manager. Those properties, my eyes aren't good enough to see it. 02 and 09 are owned by one property owner. He's very aware this is happening, but we have a water pressure issue, and that's why he's not wanting to participate at this point. He's actually building on property 02 and drilling a well, but he's just because of the water situation, he's wanting to move forward right now, and that's his option.
But he
So-
doesn't own 11, that's a separate landowner then, right?
11 is another property owner that has a home on it. He's already established. He's actually had conversation with the applicant as well, so they might have more insight there. Any more questions for Wellsville City?
I appreciate you being so willing to take the whole road.
Yeah, none of us have.
We would love to have a conversation on roads and standards in the future.
The proponent?
Do we have any questions?
I'd like to hear from the proponent. Plans or whatever.
I'm Jason Blackham. This is my wife, Charla. We're both natives of Utah. We've been abroad a little bit. I've been in the United States Air Force, and I've retired recently. We purchased this property 13 years ago, 14 years ago, and we've been managing it ever since. We've leased it for the most part to resident farmers in the area. And that's a dry farm above the canal, and it's irrigated below that 7-acre piece to the east. We purchased it with the intent to invest, and this is our retirement plan, basically. And we know that the church is interested in purchasing. In fact, we've had them make an offer already for the stake center, just to the west of the canal. 5.5 acres right there that they're proposing to build a stake center on.
How many total acres do you have there?
It's 47.
47?
45 if you take out the canal.
Yeah, the canal.
So what's the density or zoning that's in that area for Wellsville City right now?
Below the canal is 12,000 square feet, and above the canal is 1 acre.
1 acre, so.
We do need to establish a well, not a well, but a tank. There's a proposal for a water tank.
Is that because of the pressure?
Well, we just don't have water that high.
Up the road above to the west.
I can address the property owner 0011. We've talked with the Barlows there. They're excited for us to develop, especially a road that will give them more access to their land. They're hoping to actually incorporate become annexed and divide their land so that their children can build there too.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. That's all I have.
Thanks.
Well, if it's gonna be developed, it's better in the city.
Yes.
Yep.
We're in the city. A solar farm.
Or an antenna in the shape of a tree.
I thought you said a soda farm. I'd be like, what?
Solar farm.
Yeah.
Okay. Any more questions or discussion? I'll accept a motion.
I will suspend the rules and make a motion that we approve resolution 2025-40 to allow Wellsville City to annex a portion of the unincorporated county land, thereby leaving and creating an unincorporated peninsula within the county.
Second.
A second by Dave. Okay. We'll go ahead and vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
It's unanimous. Thank you. Okay.
If you have input on the stake center, tell me we want a big basketball court. So.
Full size.
Full size.
And thing outside so I can party there too.
There's only 3 sizes of stake centers.
Okay. So moving on to item number 9, our pending action.
Yes.
The compensation of the Cache County Council members. I know this has been on our agenda for some time. Andrew, did you want to address?
I would just like to say that the chair said that she would prefer that this item be continued for another meeting for once she returns. That's all.
And I would agree, now that we know what the budget,
That's
tentative budget at least looks like, that can help inform us on this discussion. So I'd like to see it continued as well.
I'm fine with that.
Okay. Moving forward. On our other business, we just have the fall conference. Andrew has, or USAC, Andrew has reached out to us, so anybody, their plans have changed, please contact Andrew. We'll start with council member reports, and we'll start here with Mark.
Okay, thanks. Just a couple things to report. The last week, there was the presentations and the initial review for the Northern Region Outdoor Recreation Initiative projects, so a grant by the state that I serve on behalf of Cache County / through the appointment of UAC to review projects of regional significance. There was great projects presented, a couple in several in Cache Valley actually, and the ranking committee came up with some numbers, so there will be an announcement made fairly soon, but no final decision made yet. But I would just like to thank Landis and Emily for their efforts and what they represented for Cache County. Yesterday and today, I was able to attend the Cache Summit, the Economic Development and Community Development Summit or seminar that happens every year here, and I was able to go to part of it. I excused myself so I could go do my day job for most of today's effort, but the part that I was able to attend was well presented. They had a banquet and then workshops last evening, which was kind of a shift from the usual way that this summit had been conducted. Holding the workshops in the evening made room for tours, and there were several businesses, and Bridgerland Technology College was also on the tour for people that participated. So the feedback, I was not able to participate in the tour, but the feedback from people that I talked to there was they appreciated the opportunity to kind of see firsthand some of the entities in the valley they're familiar with, but not having been physically present to observe. So, and they felt like the workshop was good. I can get you more detail on the workshops I attended if you so desire. And then just by way of information, next week, the Zero Gravity Summit will be held in the annual Zero Gravity Summit will be held in Salt Lake, which is the state aerospace and defense conference on those two industries. And I will attend that.
Thank you, Mark. Dave.
Oh, mine's a lot shorter. I have no report right now.
I have nothing to report. Nolan.
For those who can, we've tried to set up another water meeting that will be here Thursday at 6 p.m. Trying to work it so we have some state legislators in here. And I think that's about all I have right now.
I attended the Cache Visitors Bureau meeting, and I have to recognize Executive Daines for his efforts. He talked to the director there and explained that they're technically not a entity within the county necessarily, but they're using county resources and probably should compensate the county accordingly, looking for revenue. He simultaneously, I think, expressed gratitude for the efforts that are being made and the importance of the Visitors Bureau and how crucial that is to our economy. And I think to be able to help someone feel valued, but also send them a bill and have that conversation go well is a masterclass in diplomacy. So I think I could learn from that, and I appreciate the efforts by George that are being made in that regard. And I think it's a good pattern for the future.
Thank you. Barbara.
Just mentioned the USU parade and the America 250 trailer. It went really well. It was kind of unorganized on that parade, but we finally got in and we had a good time with it. A lot of people, and I enjoyed it.
Thank you. We got a lot coming up.
Yeah, We do.
That's great. Okay. I will accept a motion to enter into executive session for following reasons.
I would move that we go into executive session for strategy sessions to discuss pending or reasonably imminent litigation, and for strategy sessions to discuss the purchase, exchange, or lease of real property, or to discuss a proposed development agreement, project proposal, or financial proposal.
I'll second.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you. Is this room adequate for everyone in here?